Hello, everybody. I'm here because I have a problem with Elgato, specifically the 4KX capture card, and it is a very me problem. You see, I wrote this big piece on my blog, which you could go read, kind of documenting this whole thing. But I thought a video would also help kind of explain everything. In December of 24, I think the day after Christmas, I bought the 4KX to upgrade from my HD60X. I started noticing a problem, but to get to the problem, we have to explain my very, very unique setup, which has this fancy little chart that I made. Basically, I use a bunch of splitters to make things happen seamlessly, so I can just push one button to capture things. And what makes this sort of unique is basically on one end, we have the consoles. Then we have a splitter, depending on the device the things are going into. So let's take the PS5 Pro, for example. It goes into a compatible HDMI 2.1 splitter, spits that into the television, so there's a native signal into the TV, and then from that it goes into yet another switch, which then goes into the 4KX or the HD60X. And then out of that card, it goes into my standalone card, the Elgato 4K 60S Plus. Now, a capture card into a capture card is a probably ill-advised setup, but it really makes a lot of sense when you think about the capabilities of these cards. These cards, the X cards, have lag-free pass-through. So they just spit it out because the signal is going to the computer over USB. And this, the standalone card, I think of as just like a headless computer, a headless monitor. So I'm feeding in the video signal to offload capture. This lets me not use my computer for recording, which is a M1 iMac fully kitted out from 2021. The problem is it can't handle 4K 60 capture. And I knew this, and so that's why I use the standalone card to offload that, and then I can stream or anything from the computer. This setup works perfectly fine, 100% rock solid with the HD60X in there as that split in between kind of card from computer into the standalone card. But as soon as I integrated the 4KX, I was starting to get these signal drops, which would stop recordings and start up, and I would lose a few seconds of gameplay and get chunked up videos instead of one seamless video file that I can edit with, upload to the library, and things like that. I'm trying to figure it out. I come to the conclusion it's the 4KX, take it out, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just going to have to wait until I get a more powerful computer where then the 4KX can just retire the 60S Plus and the HD60X. It's a lot of letters and acronyms here. Basically, retire two cards, kill two birds with one stone. But actually, I needed two stones, which was a new computer. And I don't have that right now, so I would just go back and eventually could use this new card. But it was bothering me. Why was the new card not able to pass through a compatible video signal, a HDMI 2.0 spec video signal, to the standalone card seamlessly like the other card was? All that's coming through it is a locked 4K 60. I wasn't using VRR. I wasn't using any higher frame rates. This is the same standard, fully compatible with the standalone card. Why was it not passing through that signal cleanly? And so I decided to reach out to Elgato Support. They took me on a journey, which started out with like corporate speak of we cannot guarantee performance when splitters are involved. So what they wanted to do was make sure that the 4KX was not the problem, even though I had already kind of proven it was the problem. Anyway, they wanted to do a clean setup. They wanted console, card, TV, nothing else in between. I reached out to them, right? And maybe something's wrong with my 4KX. Maybe something's wrong with this card. So I decided to hold up my end of the social contract that I initiated, by the way. Decided to hold it up and just test everything for them. And the minimum requirements or recommended specs for this card are an M1 compatible computer, which I have, and a minimum of 4 gigabytes of RAM, which I have 16 of. So we're covered there as well. I meet or exceed the requirements. So, according to them, I should be able to record 4K 60 on my M1 iMac. This led us down a rabbit hole of things. This clip of Astrobot is what it looks like. There's an encoding problem. It's either the software or the hardware. It's not even capturing the footage at all. I mean, we're talking frames and frames. I drew little pictures of the thumbnails. I mean, it just was not good. And so they sent back, we went back and forth for basically 2.5 months, testing different things. Eventually, it was passed on to the advanced support team, which enlightened me that on Mac OS, there is a hidden 10 gigabyte option for this to basically force the computer to be using the 10 gigabyte USB-C spectrum. And that didn't work. That didn't fix it. I switched over to trying it on Forza Horizon, and the footage is hilarious. You can hear it all in real time. The audio is being captured cleanly, but the looks so choppy and stuttery and laggy. It's not good. But Elgato kept insisting on checking things. We used like a software reporter so they could see what was going on my Mac. Eventually, we went from the advanced support team to developers. I mean, eventually being passed up to the developers of presumably software for Elgato to figure this out. Eventually, they started recommending that I just, drop the resolution, which wasn't the thing I was having a problem with at all. I can record on my computer up to 1440p. I did that for Outer Wilds. I had no problems there. It's as soon as we enter the 4K spectrum that my computer just can't keep up. And I told them this in my initial email, in that initial test with Astrobot, with my little Astrobot piece of art. Unfortunately, my computer is not powerful enough to capture at the same resolution, frame rate, and quality as the 4K 60S Plus. The results were extremely choppy from OBS, but that was surely my machine, not the card. I won't be able to properly test and compare until I get a more powerful computer someday. I'll have to keep using the HD60X for now, I believe. But this is what I told them right out of the gate, as soon as they recommended and I tested this clean setup. But they just kept insisting and kept going and going and going. All the way until after about 20 days of silence, I get what I affectionately refer to as the final support email, which was a long list of recommended specs and adjustments, which included super low resolution and bitrate. But their closing line essentially was, if nothing helps, then a stronger system will be required for 4K capture. Which is what I had said, 2 months ago. We find myself with now really the problem solved. The 4KX is sitting unused. I won't use it until I get a new computer. I did tell them, I encouraged them to follow up on the initial issue that I had, which was, why is the HDMI signal not being passed through the same as the old card? Something is wrong within the signal, is my theory. I encouraged them to look into that. They actually responded and said they would pass it on to the developers, so we'll see if that turns anything. But I'm just not sure why the old card would do something that the new card isn't, especially when we're dealing with the same sort of specifications and signals. I don't know. And then I also advised them to update the product page information so that people don't go out and buy the 4KX assuming that they can get 4K 60, 4K 120, 4K 144 performance out of an M1 class Mac. Now, I didn't think that really would happen. I was slightly hopeful, but thought maybe it was just a USB bandwidth or something. But my computer just can't keep up graphically, and that's fine, and I accept that, and I'll eventually have it. But that's what I encourage them to do. I still have a great setup. I've got my 4K, my RetroTink 4K, my 4K 60s Plus, which makes recording and capturing so much easier for me personally. I don't have to fiddle with the computer. I just push a button and go. But I still had this niggle of, will it work? So I borrowed my dad's M2 Ultra Max Studio with 64 gigabytes of RAM. And I hooked it up to my PS5 Pro with the 4KX. Just that. That was actually this exact setup, the way I have it built. All I did was plug it into the Mac Studio instead of my iMac. And wouldn't you know it, I was able to capture 4K 120 footage of Fortnite while consuming 1.4% of the computer's performance capabilities in OBS. So yeah, I'm gonna need a new computer.